The maiden venture by Brightland School is a series of webinars to empower the young minds with skills and progressive thinking. Through this platform, we intend to connect with children of all age groups and their parents and deal with the questions of the inquisitive minds left unanswered so far.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am Prashant Pathak, your host and moderator for the session. As a part of our webinar series, Kindling Talks, we are conducting a talk show on financial literacy. We all understand that there are many questions that keep bothering intellectual domains. This is a movement to create financially intelligent India. Correct? We have to create a financially intelligent India. Indians are very intelligent, but we have to be financially intelligent and motivate our youth towards optimum utilization of their financial resources. And for this, we have Arpit sir. I would like to introduce our speaker for the session, Mr. Arpit Arora. Arpit is founder of Ask the Wise Guy, a passive income coach, co-founder of Trendlines, SEBI registered research analyst from London School of Commerce. Sorry अर्पित अगर मैं आपके बारे में कुछ बोलना भूल गया हूं तो so now first of all I would request our panelists to introduce themselves.
A very good evening to all. I, Anmol Goel of Class 12 studying in Brightland School, would like to extend my gratitude as I feel privileged to represent the Student Council in this inaugurating session. Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone. I'm Garima Chaudhary, student of Class 12 Commerce, studying in Brightland School, and it's an honor for me to be a part of this talk show today and eagerly awaiting to grab more information about the topic. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Manav Singh of Class 12 Commerce, and it gives me immense pleasure to experience this interactive session. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Samriddhi Verma of Class 12 Humanities, and I feel extremely grateful to be a part of this talk show. Thank you.
Sorry, I was unmuted. So thank you, children. Thank you very much for introducing yourself. Now I would request Mr. Arpit to talk about his journey, his passion, and how can this youth get benefited by his advice. So Arpit, please enlighten us with your words of wisdom.
Certainly. I firstly wanted to thank Prashant sir, Brightland School, and all the people who actually made this effort to create this platform where I am able to share whatever I can and be able to inspire the youth, which I thoroughly agree with Prashant sir when he said that we don't just want a smart India, we want a financially smart or financially intelligent India. And that's also something that a mission that I'm on my life as well. But before I talk about me, I want to start off with a few important questions. How many of us are interested in making money? I believe the answer to that for a lot of people is going to be yes. But when I ask you how many of you want to make money but without working for it, I believe a lot of you are still even more eager to hear. But here is the last one. How many of us are wanting to live a passionate life where we are able to positively impact the world? I believe every one of us can agree with that one. Even if you have a yes for any of these three questions, today's talk, the few minutes that we're going to spend together, I really hope will be able to not just inspire you, but to also help you to take action in the right direction. So my name is Arpit Arora. I'm India's leading personal finance expert and passive income coach. I've actually been on my journey for almost a decade in the financial industry now. And I would like to tell you about actually how I started. So here is, sorry. I request everyone to mute yourself so it doesn't come in my way of speech. Thank you. So, So this is how it all started. I was, well, in fact, taking back myself back to almost, I think about 17, 18 years ago, I was being tutored by Prashant sir. Uh, and back at that time, I was a really spoiled child, to be honest. I was someone that who did not pay a lot of attention to studies. I was not someone who was dedicated to get the top scores. And I'm being honest with you. And here is how everything changed. In a matter of 2 years, right after my schooling, my parents sent me to England. And at that time, a spoiled child like me had to do everything himself. I had to reinvent my life to be able to live a different life altogether, a life in England. Now, that was when the tilting point happened from the old me to the new me that you see me here today. Now, I had promised myself that although my parents are going to fund my education, but I'm not going to ask for a single penny from them. In fact, I'm going to be able to create myself, create my life in such a way that I'm going to help them. And that is exactly how things started. While I was doing my graduation, I was in Roehampton University in England. I started my first job. You'd be surprised if I tell you that I was working in Pizza Hut, I was working in Subway, I was cleaning tables, I was cutting vegetables, and all of that. I wanted to ensure that I don't take money from my parents. That thing just stuck in my head. Now, a year after, while I was still doing my graduation, I got into something more serious because England was a new country to me. I wanted to start very from the very ground roots. Now I got myself into research. Now that was the start of my research career. This is almost in 2006 that I'm talking about. So about 15 odd years from today. I was working in a company called Sinovate Research. It is a MNC present in more than 70 countries in the world. That was the start of my research career where I was into market research initially. Right after I completed my education at the age of 21, I completed my graduation at that time. I said that I know a few things about me that if I do something, I really get into it. If I do something, I really excel into it. I was getting a little bit of success in or money success, you can say, even in the small jobs that I was doing, and still was able to manage my studies. At that age of 21, I made a big decision that I am going to take on a very, very serious, very, very hard role. And this is also the same time in 2008 when if you would know, global banking crisis happened. It was one of the biggest financial crises any of us had seen at that time. That's when I made a decision to get into financial sales in a time when the biggest world crisis in finance had happened. To my benefit, somehow I was the most hardworking person in that company in the sales department. Amongst the 25, 30 people, I was always at the top two, top three positions. I did that consistently for an entire year, and they gave me a position in the management. I became the youngest person in the management, the highest person paid in the management. I bought my first car, my BMW, by my own money. I took my parents on international Euro trips every single year. For a person who was 22, 23 years of age, at that point in my life, I was living it. Because not only was I making money, I had fulfilled my vision at that young age to be able to live my life the way I wanted, to be able to afford the luxuries I wanted, and not yet ask for money from my parents, yet be able to contribute in their life as well. Now, at that time, I thought I had achieved success and everything was going well. I said, let me also complete my education. I did my MBA from the London School of Commerce then. And I had spent about 7 years in UK, just 3 years away from my permanent citizenship, which would have given me that license of being called a Brit and settled in UK. I made a big decision in my life. And you'll be surprised if I tell you, I made a decision to come back to India. I sold my car. I left my job. I left the house that I was staying in. I left everything, the 7 years that had given me what I wanted. I had to leave that behind and come to India. Now, this was entirely my own decision because I wanted to be with my parents. I owed a lot to them, and I'm the only son, so I had to be with them. There was no way they were shifting to UK. I had to come to India. Now, coming to India was actually one of the biggest cultural shocks for me, the biggest, because I, coming to India, could not relate to my own country. I was like, I'm born here in India. I've been bred here in India. I only went abroad for 7 years, but I forgot those were 7 formative years of my life. Coming to India, I could not relate to it. It was a cultural shock. So I looked deep inside that what is it now that I made this decision, I am here and I'm not going back. What do I want to do in my life? I started soul searching, and three things came to me that if whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to do it with passion. And I wanted to know what was my passion. Until that point, I was not clear. And that I was at the age of 25 at that time. And I looked deep inside. There were three things I knew I was very passionate with. The first was it was finance for sure. Second was research. And third was marketing. So I wanted to explore more of my passion, blend into India. And while I was doing that, I started working in Royal Bank of Scotland. Now, I worked with Royal Bank of Scotland for 1 year. In that 1 year, I looked at the gaps in the Indian financial industry and I started my first business, which has completed more than 8 years now, actually, running successfully on autopilot and has been the foundation of what I do today. That business is called Trendlines. I'm a co founder with my two other childhood friends who are my today's partners. And we are really living that life where we started something by our own hands and it is given that small seed has become a big tree today. Now, all of this happened 7, 8 years ago. And this Trendlines business is a SEBI registered research analyst. We help rich people to become wealthy, wealthy people to become wealthier by managing the money that they have. Now, all of this was going great. But another 2, 3 years down the line, after starting the first business, I realized that I'm only helping those people who already have money or have a lot of money or they're thinking about investing. But that's only a very, very small percentage of all the people in India. You'll be surprised, not more than 3% or 2% of India actually invests their money. Everyone else does not even know the concept of investing. They think keeping the money in the bank or making an FD is an investment. And I could see such big gaps. That is why it gave me the idea to start my second business, which is a business that gave me a lot of fame. It gave me the ability to make my bigger impact. It gave me the ability to fulfill my mission. And my mission is to help more than 1 million people to live a life which is completely free of money worries so that they get inspired to follow their passion and they're able to live with inner peace and joy. This is why I do what I do. Now, the second business, Ask the Wise Guy, which is where I coach the professionals, I coach the business owners, I coach the people who are salaried, and I inspire students like you to build a life where you're able to live a life without worry of money. You are able to follow your passion and you are living with inner peace and joy. This is the entire reason why I believe I exist today, why I've got whatever success I've got today is purely and purely because of this mission. Now, how do I do what I do? How does all of this happen? Before I get to that, I just want to tell you, because I followed my passion, only because I followed my passion in the last 4 years, ever since I've been pursuing this business, I'm very happy to tell you that I'm actually the youngest person in India to get the Philip Kotler Award for Excellence as a financial coach. And I'm also one of the few lucky people to actually get trained by the right hand of Robert Kiyosaki. You might or might not have heard about his name, but you definitely would have heard about the book that he wrote, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad. So the right hand of Robert Kiyosaki, actually, whose name is Blair Singer, he's one of the Rich Dad advisors. I've had the privilege of being trained by him. I've had the privilege of being trained by Tony Robbins, who is the biggest coach in the world. I've had the privilege of being trained by Sadhguru himself. So a lot of these people actually shaped up and changed who I am today. Now, in these names, I also missed out a few other people who are also influential in the world, such as Jack Canfield, such as Sanjeev Jain, such as Rahul Jain, and so many other coaches. The whole point was I started reinvesting in myself to bring myself to a point where I could actually make an impact in people's lives. So, how is it that I do all of that? And what are you going to get out of today's session is what we're going to talk about now. See, by the end of this today's session, you'll understand exactly what mistakes the people, when it comes to managing the money, do, which is what financial literacy is all about. You'll be able to understand that One, exactly how you can create a roadmap for yourself to, one, not do the same mistakes others have, and second, be able to live a passionate life. Because imagine if you're able to follow your passion while money is coming on the side, that automatically gives you happiness, peace, and joy. And I think there's nothing more bigger in life when you're able to achieve all three and at the same time. Today, I'll be teaching you exactly how people are able to do that and what is stopping them to be able to create such a life. You, my friends, are in that sweet spot where you're able to follow and create a roadmap for yourself in such a way that you do not fall for the same traps other people have. Because if I was to tell you honestly, the people that I work with, some of people are even as old as 60-year-old. And the biggest regret in their life is, why did they not meet me 30 years ago? But that was not possible. So, jokes apart, here is the first thing that you need to know. And the source of living a life passionately with not worrying about day to day worry of money starts with passive income. So, what is passive income? Passive income is very simple. It is simply the money that you make without working for it. So, passive income has money, multiple sources. You can make passive income from certain businesses. You can make passive income from YouTube videos. You can start multi level marketing, or you can follow the method that I'm going to tell you today. First, let me clarify all the other ways of passive income. And I also want to tell you why they're very popular, but they don't work. What are those? Let's talk about, a lot of people talk about how to make passive income using YouTube videos. Think of it like this. Had you thought of this 10 years ago, it would have made a lot of sense. Today, everyone is doing it. You need millions of subscriptions, hundreds and thousands of views on every video to be able to monetize that. A lot of people, other people talk about MLM, which is multi-level marketing. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to hear about it or read about it, but these things keep on coming every 4 or 5 years. They peak a little and then they fall out, and everyone in the system eventually lose money apart from the people who started it. A lot of people, a lot of younger adults and middle-aged adults have actually gone through that, burned their hands, and realized it doesn't work. Passive income in the word itself is passive. You're not having to work for it. If you're creating videos, if you're trying to sell something in multi-level marketing, all of that is not passive, it is active because you're totally involved in it. Passive income is an income for which you're not working. So what are those type of incomes? The simplest way of creating that is using the money that you already have. So what is the money that you already have? The money you have in the bank, in your FDs, investments that you made in the property, insurance-based investments, money that you lent to a friend for interest income, the money that you've invested in gold and precious metals, the money you've invested in stocks and mutual funds, all of your entire wealth. What if we can use your entire wealth in such a way that it starts creating monthly income for you? That is the concept that I learned, worked on myself, worked efficiently and hardly enough to be able to master it, and now being able to teach it pan India to not just business owners, not just salaried employees, but also professionals, and be able to create a system and a structure that this works for them for the rest of their life. So there are three things that are needed for someone to live a passionate life. First is having a passive income on the side. So how can one have passive income? For that, again, you need three things. The first is you need to have the right what? What is this? Financial mindset. If you don't have the right financial mindset, whatever you do in your life, you're never ever going to be able to live a life which is free of money problems. Why? Because all of what you do starts from here, starts from the mindset. And then comes financial skill set. When your mindset is aligned to make money, you're aligned to do that. But now you need to act, and on that action, you need skills. That is why the second thing is financial skill sets. Now, if you're paying attention, you're thinking, I've got the mindset and I've got the skill set. Now, what else is required? My friend, you need financial systems. Number three. What is financial systems? These are those systems which you put in place once and they make income for you for the rest of your life. Now, today, I won't be talking about financial systems or financial skills for that matter. Skills and systems is something I don't want to talk about today. That is technical, might not even be relevant for you. But do you know at 80% of the financial success happens because of the right what? Financial mindset. Yes. Financial mindset is 80% of the success. And that is what I want to work with you today. I want to give you a prelude of the mistakes that people do and how can you avoid any sort of mistakes when it comes to talking about the right financial mindset. So I want to start by asking you a very, very basic question, a rather basic question. Do you think that is money management only for people who are MBA students? MBA finance students, should I say more specifically? What do you think? Think about it for 10 seconds. Is MBA finance only for people who are wanting to learn about finance? Or rather, let's reverse the question. Is money management only for MBA finance students? Or is it for everyone? I think by now you got the sense of where I'm coming to. Finance and money management should not only be taught in MBA, it is something that everyone needs. Even if you have or have not done MBA finance, it is for you. Only if you want to get a job in a financial industry is MBA finance good for you. Otherwise, everyone should have the basics of financial knowledge. See, in India, the biggest problem is that everyone wants to get educated to get a job. That's, my friend, the biggest problem because we're not trying to educate ourselves to become a better version of ourselves. We're trying to educate ourselves so we can get a better job. That's where the problem starts. Every company in the world, everyone who's a business owner, is in itself a person who needs to know money management. Everyone who's salaried person needs to know about money management. Even a person who's retired needs to know about money management. And if you haven't figured it out yet, every student needs to know about money management because the younger you learn these concepts, the lesser hassles and problems you will face in your life. So today's session will open up your mind towards this idea of how important financial literacy can be, is, and how it can change your financial future. Now, let's talk about the game of money. Here is an interesting thing. When some people become rich and wealthy, how do you think they become rich and wealthy? Are they getting an extra source of income in their house where they have planted a tree which is growing money for them? That's how they become rich and wealthy? Or is it the reality wherein that there is limited amount of money in the entire world, money shifts from one person to another? One person, and this is the brutal way of saying it, but this is true, that money shifts from one person to another person, which is why one person is less wealthier now or has less money and the other has more. Every time the government prints more money, more money goes into the circulation of the economy, and some people end up getting more of it, some people have less of it, or they're at the same level. What does that mean? Simply that the money is being shifted from one person to another. Think of it like this: money is the game of money is actually a proper game, like how we play our different games. Like we play cricket, we play tennis, we play this or that. Money is also a game. The only thing is, this is a serious game, and if you lose this one, you are in for trouble. But the question is, how can we win the game of money? Like every game in the world, this one also has rules. The only problem is that people want to play the game of money, but they do not even know the rules. Think of it like this: if you don't know how to play cricket, you don't know the rules of cricket, just by observing, would you know everything about cricket? Just by observing. Think about it. I think you know the answer to that already, don't you? It is not possible. You might play it, but you won't be able to win it. That is the problem that I see most of the people making today. That they want to win the game of money. They're interested, but they're not committed enough to learn the rules of the game. That is what needs to be taught, because without knowing the rules of the game, you just simply cannot win. When we talk about the rules of the game, I want to give you another big misconception. People think that the game of making money, or you have to be a very nice person. A misconception I want to give you an example of. Some people think I'm a very nice person, so I should have a lot of money. But that's not really happening in my life. I see this greedy person This person who's not so good and he wants to take money from the entire world, he has more money than I do. How is that even possible? Why is it even happening? These kind of things that people have this, how should I say, they're in this dilemma that I, being a nice person, an honest person, I'm not able to make money, and this greedy person is making money, this wicked person is making money. Means I also have to be a little sly. I also have to do a little bit wrong. I also have to bend the rules to be able to make money, just like him. The whole point is money does not care the kind of person you are. Money goes to those people who are able to understand the rules of the game. If one person, like, I want to give you a good example. A lot of people in the world don't like Donald Trump. A lot of people. I'm not his big fan either. But I know one thing. He's not the best of the person on the earth, but he understands the rule of money, which is why he went from the support of his father, where he was just a child of a builder. He became the biggest builder in New York, became a multi-billionaire. From that point, he went bankrupt and then became a millionaire again. How is that possible? That, my friend, and now later on, he became the president of America. Do you think a bad person? Now, I also used to think for a lot of time, he's not a great person. Why is he getting all that success? Because there's simple rules of the win of the game of success and simple rules of the game of money. If you understand those, you are never ever going to face those challenges in your life. What are those rules? How can you play them? We'll talk a little bit more about it. Here is another thing. A lot of people think that even if they do MBA finance or they learn about managing money or learn about making money in books, in courses, that is enough for them. If I do MBA finance, I've learned everything about money. You will be surprised if I tell you that chartered accountants are my students. Chartered accountants who've learned more about taxation laws and everything about money are still my students. Do you know why? Because the practical experience of managing money, the knowing the mindset and changing the mindset around money is more important than the skill set. Skill set is taught. So I want to give you this quote. I want you to note it in your head. Financial skill set can be taught. Financial systems can be envied. Sorry, I'm correct myself. Financial systems can be taught. Financial systems can be copied, but financial mindset can only be envied, which is why I don't want to talk about skill set or systems with you because those are easy to get. Those are something you can just do a course, an overnight course, a short term course, or university course and learn all those things. Mindset, my friend, is not something that can be taught like that. It's something that you yourself have to change. Financial mindset is also something that you cannot acquire unless you are willing. Financial mindset is not something I can give to you. It's only something you can take if you want to. That is how important financial mindset is. This is why I say this is 80% of the success. A lot of people are in this belief system. They have this mindset around money. If I do MBA finance, oh, I need to go to the London School of Commerce to do MBA finance. I also thought that. And after completing my course, after doing my MBA finance from the London School of Commerce, I realized I know very little about the reality of money, which is why it took me another 3 to 4 years after that, with a lot of struggle, I actually learned to how to win the game of money. And that came with experience, that came with my investment into my own self post my formal education. And that also happened with my passion towards learning more. Because only when you increase your learning can you actually increase your earning. So that is another misconception, another myth that people have, that they have to do a big course from an esteemed university to actually be able to learn the game of money or learn more about financial knowledge, increase their financial knowledge. Yes, you will have financial literacy, but that literacy does not transmute into financial results for you. It really isn't of much use, is it? Today, we see the internet full of information all across the world. You can see YouTube, there's so much on the Google, there are free courses here and there. the world, the internet is full of so much information. The question is, how are you able to use this information and put it into your own context? Is what the bottom line is. How, I'm going to say it one more time so you understand it, how you can use all the information in the world around money, put it into your own context and be able to implement it, get result out of it. That, my friend, is the bottom line. And that is why it all starts with mindset itself, because if your mindset is not aligned to understand all of these things, you're never ever even going to start on walking on that journey where you're able to achieve financial freedom in your life. Now, one last thing, and this is one of the regrets that I have, and I want to tell you very candidly, because I was of I was of the same age as where you are, and I was taught by the same person that you have, that you are under the mentorship of. I'm talking about Prashant sir right now. I just wish I had the same attitude of learning at the time when I was in school, at the time when I was under his mentorship. Because at that time, if my focus and energy was on learning the game of money today, I would have been 10 times more of where I am today. So I just want to remind you guys again that here is someone who's worked really hard to be where he is today, but his biggest regret is not starting early enough. And you, my friends, are at the right spot, the most perfect spot. Because if this is an area of interest for you, I believe, which is why you are here with me right now, you can make a big change in your life only and only if you simply start focusing and channelizing your energy and your focus towards financial literacy. Now, I've only spoken about problems right now, but I haven't given you any solution. And you're wondering, what is Arpit coming around? What is he trying to say? How do we do all this? Now, he's only telling me problems, problems, problems. What is the solution? That, my friend, is exactly what I'm going to tell you next. And the solution that I want to tell you is a concept that I've created, which is called passive income revolution theory. So what is passive income revolution theory? I want to give you an example. I want to give you example of my two uncles, my uncle Arun and my uncle Varun. Now, my uncle Arun is someone who is working for a company, a very big company, but this is how typically his day looks like. He wakes up at 6 a.m., dreads out of the bed, and he gets ready. By 8, he struggles to get to the office. By the time he reaches office, there's a pile of files waiting and a lot of pending work waiting for him. He struggles himself and grinds himself to lunch. By then, he's completely exhausted. The second half of his day is completely unproductive. He receives a good salary, but by the 20th day after receiving his salary, all the money is gone. And he's just dreading for another 10 days for his salary to come again. Uncle Arun, who is working for this company, on the outside looks like a very successful man because he's got a good job, he's working with a good company, he has a good salary too, but he's never fulfilled. On the other end, I have my Uncle Varun. Now, Uncle Varun is someone who's completely different. Now, this person is actually living a passionate life. I'll tell you how it is. He wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning. He goes for a jog, comes back with lots of energy, takes a shower, gets ready. 7 a.m. he starts his day. By the time it is 2 p.m., he's completed entire day of work. He has his own business. He lives a very passionate life. He's making a change in people's life. He runs through with energy throughout the day. His team is motivated. The people around him are in his awe. And Uncle Varun is actually making a lot of money. In fact, Uncle Varun not just makes money once in a month, he makes it 3 times in a month. Do you know how? Because he uses the power of passive income. But now you're seeing that Uncle Varun is living a completely different life. Uncle Arun is living a very miserable life. What are they doing in the background that this is happening? Because on the face of it, both look successful. But why is it that Uncle Arun is having a struggling life while Uncle Varun is not? That, my friend, is the secret behind that is the passive income revolution theory. So what is passive income revolution theory? Think of it like this. When Uncle Arun, the person working in that company, works really hard. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard, but he dreads. So he's not doing a work that he's passionate about. When he works in that company, he dreads and dreads and dreads, and then finally receives his salary. When he receives his salary, 80% of the money goes in expenses. Do you know where most of the expenses are going in? In things that make him look rich. So he's not really as rich as you might think. But the clothes he wears, the car he drives, the watch he has, the phone he has, all of that makes him look like he's very rich. So 80% of the money is setting up a facade that he's really pushing hard to ensure that on the outside he looks very, very rich, which is why everyone has the impression that he's living a successful life. Only 20% of the money he's able to save. And the money that he's able to save, he's saving it so inefficiently that in taxation and inflation and poor investment decisions, he's losing all of that money as well. Or it's not growing at all, it is there where it is. Doing that, he has to repeat the same cycle again and again and again every single month, which is why he's living the life that he's living. Or my friends, my uncle Varun is living a completely different life. What is he doing? I'm going to tell you, this is what the big secret is. Uncle Varun is someone who is passionately working in his business. Now, you would understand if someone is working passionately, it is likely that he's going to make more money because he's putting his heart and soul into his business. Now, Uncle Varun receives a lot of money, and the moment he does, he is not expending this money just like Uncle Arun did. He has something, a very special thing called the wealth pool. What is the wealth pool? A wealth pool is a place, a system that he's made where he's using his skills and the systems that I teach. He's put that in such a way that his money doesn't go in expenditure. All the money he receives first go in the wealth pool. Now, this wealth pool is managed in such a way that it starts giving him income 3 times a month, 36 times a year. So, the amazing thing that Uncle Varun is doing is that he is using 2 times of the income every month to take care of his expenses. One part of his income that he makes is going for long term investments for his children, to buy a bigger house, to buy a new business, to start a new business, and all the long term goals that he has. That ways, Uncle Varun is never having to be dependent on that one single source of income that he has, from which is the business that he has, because now he has not just one, he has three more sources of income happening parallelly. This is actually what ensures that he only now goes back into his work doing only those things that he's truly passionate about, something that he really wants to do, because he's not worried if this money comes or not. He's only looking to make a change, a positive change in the world of the people. And that exactly gives him eventually more money, because think of it like this: all the people who are passionate in the world, think of Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, any big entrepreneur, Ratan Tata, so many other people like that. Think of Usain Bolt. Doesn't have to be a business owner, anyone who's passionate in doing what they're doing. Every one such person who's passionate in doing what they're doing, they eventually end up making more money. Now, rather than being using that money for expenses, they put it in the wealth pool. Again, the wealth pool makes income for them. One part of the income goes in expenditure, one part goes into long-term investments. That is how they're able to secure their long-term financial future, take care of their current expenses, and yet not be dependent on that source of income, that single source of income they create from their business. Which is why, because there is no dependency, they're able to follow it using passion. That, my friend, in a nutshell, is what the passive income revolution theory is. And for the people who use the passive income revolution theory, are able to live a life where they're able to follow their passion. They are not in the worry of money. So they're living with a free of money life. And the third and most important one is they're able to live with inner peace and joy. Because you would know, as you grow older, 50% of middle-aged adults agree that money is the biggest issue in their life. And what if you're able to solve that problem even before you enter your 20s or 30s? How amazing would that be? So that is exactly what you can do in your life. Follow or create a structure like that, so that you're able to live that life which is free of money worries. You're able to follow your passion and live with inner peace and joy. So here is what I would like to say to close today's session, at least my part of the session. First, is always and always follow your passion. For a lot of people, and because you're young, you might or might not know your passion. So what do? There's nothing to worry about. Find out different avenues which gives you happiness. Do those things which give you happiness, not what they give money to. Don't just do a job. Don't just get into something because everyone else is doing it. Don't do it because it has money. Do it because you want to. Because I want to give you an example of this guy who washes cars. So you would know that the people in India who wash car get 20, 30, 50 rupees a day. This person makes $50,000 a week just to wash cars. But do you know what kind of car he washes? He only washes Ferraris and sports cars. Now, the profession is the same, but the excellence that he's achieved is of a different magnitude. That, my friend, is what you can do if you follow your passion in whatever thing that you do. So, no work is a small work, no job is a small job, no business is a small business, no industry is small. Everything can be amplified if you're the best person, that one big person, the best person in the industry, which is why I say follow your passion. If you like to explore more about this, I encourage you to read this book called Flow, FLOW. This book talks about three main things. How do you know if this is something you're passionate with? One, the time goes by and you're not able to realize that has happened. Two, you can do this as much as you want, whenever, when you want, you're emotionally unaffected. Like you don't have to be in a good mood to do it. You can do it any other time. And third, is you make or don't make money out of it, you're still happy. If the three things are fulfilled, you know that this is what your passion is, and keep exploring till the time you're able to find your passion. Point number two, always, always, always know that you have to always keep on reinvesting in your financial IQ. The one biggest investment that I have made, apart from the education that my parents gave me, the best education they could afford, an education to a very high standard from England, I yet regard the investment that I made later on in my own financial IQ upgradation, because that investment gave me the highest return. The first investment gave me a prestige, it gave me a pedestal to stand at and say, yes, I've done this. But the second investment is what really made me the money. The third thing is always find a mentor. Whatever is it that you want to do, there is one person who's done it better than you. Find a way for interning with the mentor, find a way for working for the mentor, find a way how your mentor can help you. I've had people come up to me and say, Arpit, I'm going to work for free with you for 3 months. Don't pay me anything, just ensure that you have us in the company. Later on, those people end up becoming manager people, position people in my company. So those are the kind of experience I've had. And I've also similarly learned from other people as well. The fourth thing and my last thing is, the one small thing that you can do out of learning of all of this is, today the social media is so big, so vast, that you, like I said, you can learn anything from anyone. Subscribe or be a part of the communities of those people on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever platform that you can find, where you can learn more from those people, and that is absolutely free. So that, my friend, if you do all of these things, I thoroughly, and I most importantly from my heart believe that financial success is just you can say, a pedestal waiting for you to stand on it. You are destined to achieve financial success in your life. And without financial literacy, without the right financial mindset, without upgrading your financial IQ, without having the right mentor and following your passion, it is just going to be a dream. Because I say this very often, that if you have a goal, but you don't have an action plan for it, it's just a dream. You need to create an action plan, and for having an action plan you need all of these things. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's session. I hope you got a lot out of this, and if you have any further questions on this, I'm more than happy to answer it right here and right now for you. So over to you, Prashant sir, and the team at Brightland School.
This was such a nice session, and I think we have so many questions to ask. So you can ask your questions, and the participants can also post their questions on chat box.
So first of all, would like to tell you that we all have really got inspired by your journey and your work, and your life story has really motivated us a lot to do. And although you have already told us a lot about passive income, but still have a question in mind that how can we as teenagers, say just like Warren Buffett, can make passive income with no money in hands?
So let me tell you how Warren Buffett did it himself. At the young age of 13, he started distributing newspapers. At the young age of 15, he started putting vending machines into pubs and bars around the locality where he lived. That is how he first put in effort to smartly make money and then use that money to invest into other places to create more income for him. There's one more thing I really like about Warren Buffett. A quote that he said was that if you keep on, let me rephrase it, if you always keep on fulfilling your wants, you'll someday end up selling upon the things that you actually need. So, whenever it comes to expenditure, always remember, ask yourself, this is a want or a need? Is this something that I cannot live without? Is something I just want because of my emotions? Your emotions will always ask you to buy more and more stuff. So, keep your expenses low by asking yourself this one question: whatever money you're able to save, be it pocket money itself, being as students, still you can get into that habit of saving some money and investing money even from a young age, because today the money might not be big, but the learning is going to be amazing, massive, and formative for the time to come. And most importantly, is going to bring you into that mindset from a very young age to be able to follow through that for the rest of your life, because Warren Buffett started at 13, today he's 90. You can also do the same.
So recently I watched a series, The Scam 1992, in which it was very well depicted how Harshad Mehta made a lot of money. Also, during the last year, we saw the market crashed heavily during the lockdown. And in the beginning of this decade, during January, we saw Sensex crossing 50,000 points, which was first in the history of the BSC. So, can we really make money from the stock market, or is it just a gamble game?
Well, it's an investment for the people who invest. It's a place to gamble where the people who want to gamble. Unlike flying a plane, where you need a pilot's license, you need years of training and certification, the stock markets do not need anything from you apart from a demat account from which you can invest. It again, which is why I say the mindset is more important than skill set, because if your mindset is that of trading, you will trade and that's a gamble. But if your mindset is that of an investor, you're always going to make money out of it. Think about it like this: the stock markets in India at least started in 1979 at 100 points. Today they've crossed 51,000. How? It's an upward zigzag. So all you have to do is keep on investing in the indexes, not in stocks. Keep on investing and just forget about it. It's going to do what it does best, which is to get to new heights. I also want you to think about it not from the Indian context, think from the global context. Is this only happening in India or is this a global phenomenon? Isn't it that most of the stock markets have hit an all-time high globally, not just in India? And once you know this fact, you will be amazed to know that this is the base nature of the indexes. As long as the economy is growing, they will continue to grow. And India stands at a better financial economic position than anyone else in the world today. And these are reports by IMF, not me. So you definitely know that this is the most certain way of actually making money. Only that if you have the mindset of as that of an investor or as that of a gambler who's trying to do trading.
So, when we talk about investing of finances, we are in a constant dilemma of how much to invest and how much to save. Like you talked about the wealth pool. So, sir, I mean, is there a universal code or a formula to harness the power of safe investing?
There are two parts of the question. First, you're talking about how much to save and how much to invest. The second is how can you create income out of this using the wealth pool. So, first of all, always saving is something that happens after you take out expenditure from income, right? For you, income could be pocket money or could be anything else, depending on person to person. Let's take pocket money for matter. If you take 1,000 rupees a week from your parents, let's assume that. First question you should ask yourself, out of this 1,000, how much do I really need? You would understand that you really don't need any of this money. It's just for your wants, not needs, because your needs are taken care of by your parents. So assuming that you're only able to spend 20-30% of it on the wants that you have, and there's nothing wrong in having wants, but you yourself should come up with a system and say, this much of money I'm compulsorily going to save. So let's say 70-30, 30% of your money you're compulsorily going to expend on wants, because I'm not asking you to live a miser life. I'm asking you to live a wealthy life, but at some sacrifices and only initially. The 70% that you're able to save, that is the money. You don't just have to save, you have to invest as well. Now, the money can be invested using the skills and systems in such a way that this money can now further create income for you. So this 700 rupees that you saved on a weekly basis becomes 2,800 or almost 3,000 on a monthly basis, which over the next year will become 36,000. Now, if you grow this money by 10%, you make 3,600. Now you're thinking 3,600 a year is nothing. I can just expend like that. I know, but what you're missing out is the point that this money keeps on compounding as well, and it compounds to from 3,600 to 5,000, from 5 to 55, and then it becomes 10,000, then it becomes 1 lakh, then it becomes 10 lakhs. And then there comes a point when you're making more income just passively than you might or might not from your active source of income. All of these things, the reason why I'm giving so much emphasis to this is that if you sow the seed today, it will become a tree for you. The same way that I did it 7-8 years ago, Warren Buffett did it when he was 13. So can you. Just simply follow that method. Results might be small today, but they will only amplify. This is only the start. The finish is at such a grand level that you have no idea about.
So I would like to ask that it is an age-old wisdom that we should not keep all our eggs in one basket. So how can diversification be the key to safe passive income?
So there are two parts to it, and something that was asked me before as well: safe investing. So let's start. I want to answer the second part of the question for you first. Safe passive income. There is no such thing as safe in the world. Why do I say that? Everything carries a risk in it. If you think your bank FDs don't have risk, they also have a risk. Almost 7 banks have already collapsed ever since COVID happened. And this is not just happening in India. In 2008, the global banking crisis happened. I was in UK and it happened right in front of my eyes. You might think, okay, banks might collapse, countries don't, but if you go back into the history, you'll realize Greece, Cyprus, Turkey, countries like these have gone into great financial distresses, Egypt. The point I'm trying to make is there's nothing which is risk free in the world. There is always a risk and return. That is how you need to look at it. Everything that has a high risk has a high return. Everything that has a low risk has a lower return. Only when you upgrade your financial knowledge more than the other person is when you're taking a lesser risk for the same return or greater return. That is the clarification on your question number two: safe passive income. So only way passive income is going to be safe is you're making wiser, smarter, more intelligent financial decisions, is when you're decreasing your financial risk and keeping the returns as same or higher depending on the individual case. Now the first part of your question, could you repeat that again for me?
Yes, sir. So it is said that we should not keep all our eggs in one basket.
Right.
How was
That you're
the
basically talking about diversification and concentration. I've actually made a YouTube video on this, but I'll give you a gist about it so that you're able to understand. I believe you should do concentration and diversification both at the same time. Now you're thinking this is paradoxical. I'm talking both the things. How can they exist at the same time? They can. I'll explain. Warren Buffett says, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. But the smartest money managers in the world say that if you know something that is going to do well, put your money, all of that into it. So how can you use both at the same time and both are right to do? It all depends on something called asset allocation. What is asset allocation? It simply is dividing your money, or the same concept of not keeping all of your eggs in one basket, which means not all of your money should be invested in property, not all of your money should be in bank deposits, not all of your money should be in gold jewelry, or not all of your money should be in stock markets or the debt markets, or borrowing to giving the money, so the other person has borrowed and they're going to give you interest. Diversify your income, your wealth, into all the asset classes available. That is diversification. Is it important? 100%. Do I agree with it? 100%. Here is where at the next level I completely do the opposite and I preach the opposite. Now this is called concentration, which means put all of that money in that place itself. I want to give you an example. When people invest in the stock markets, I know people who buy 100 stocks to think they have diversified in the stock market. They think that after diversification on their entire wealth, now they will have to diversify inside the stock market as well. That is where they fail. Here is where you need to use concentration, because no one can actually track 100 companies. You're just simply using the power of luck. If at all it is in your favor, would you actually end up making money? This is a place where you need to concentrate your money into only those companies whose fundamentals you've checked, whose technicals you've checked, which you believe is undervalued, and you think the company is going to do well on a longer period of basis. That is where concentration is needed. This is what the biggest money managers in the world do. When we talk about precious metals, there's so many precious metals you can invest in. You can invest in gold, palladium, platinum, silver, and many others. Why should you only invest your money in gold? Or should you invest all of your money into all of the other four precious metals? Again, concentration. Knowing which of these four is the best for you, which can do better for you, which is a hedge against the economic recession, and those things. Same way, one of my students who happens to be a very prime business owner in South Delhi, happens to have 15 properties. Now, I advised him not to overexpose himself into property or not to buy so many properties. For him, it was a great way of making passive income, but it was not safe because he was not using concentration. Because now it has come a time that all the properties are predominantly in one area. Lockdown happened, he lost on the interest of all of the properties. Half the tenants have now gone, and he's finding it hard to put it on rent again. That is where you need to use concentration. Have maybe 1, 2, 3 properties, not 15. So on the top level, always diversify. On the second level, which is sub asset allocation, always concentrate. Use both at the same time. And if you want to explore more on this, you can go on my YouTube channel. I've made a video on this called diversification versus concentration. So I hope that will give you a little bit more detail about this thing.
So there are so many questions that are left unanswered in chat box. So I think we can do some other session also, because right now we are running short of time. But Arpit, I want to ask one question.
Sure.
As a financial advisor or passive coach or research analyst, you came from England and you are doing your business in India. What challenges do you face in India?
Currently, or during the time of shifting?
No, currently. I'm asking currently.
Currently. Well, I think it has to come back to mindset itself, because I believe that I'm on a very big mission, and the mission is big in itself because of the challenge that it carries, and the challenge is the mindset of the people in India. Or I won't just say it in India, I think it's a human psychology or a global phenomenon, or we can say the middle class of India has this dream of making a lot of money, and I want to help them. The biggest problem that I face is that they don't want to spend their time, their effort, their energy, or their money on learning those things. I feel that, and Warren Buffett says this, the more you learn is the more you earn. People find it easier to invest in get rich quick schemes, overnight ways of making money, than finding sustainable ways of making money, and that for the rest of their life. Although I've been able to, I've had a fair success in being able to change a lot of people's mindset. But every single time when you do face people whose mindset you're not able to change, there you feel that if and only if you were able to help this one more person not to fall back on that same pit of greed, and something which is an endless pit, something that will be very hard for them to come out by themselves. That is one area where I feel that immediate need of changing financial status, financial story, or should I say the financial destiny, is something that I face as a major challenge. Everything else, I believe, is just a matter of manifestation and the way things are going. It's not really a challenge.
So I think if our youth is financially aware, then you'll not face such type of problems in future.
100%.
And I
100%.
thank you very much, Arpit, for joining us.
Thank you
And
so much.
looking forward for many such sessions.
I'll be obliged.
COVID that we are online, then but I would surely want you to be in our school to give
Absolutely.
a session.
Absolutely, sir. My pleasure.